making another video. It's 12 o'clock at night right now. Came home, fell asleep after eating some fajitas, and decided to get something nice to eat. And after going to the pantry, spending way too much money on food, and came back home, or came back to my room, and then fell asleep. Woke up, so I got plenty of sleep. Hopefully I'll be able to sleep here in the next 20-30 minutes. Wake back up at 6 in the morning to go to school. But I wanted to make this video because there's so many things that I want to talk about, and it is astonishing. Astonishing is not even the right word. It's so crushing of the amount of people of the gay and transgender community that is just plunging at me that you are not going to go to school. We're training you, and we're going to run the guilt trip on you that you're going to go to a music career from Michael Jackson. They're putting people on the bus that looks like Michael Jackson, and the bus driver then puts a show performance on the fucking bus in front of me. It is nonstop for Kenneth Cooper. Let's feel sorry for Kenneth Cooper. Let's put the attention. This is entirely made up stories that who they want to make a hero from a monster to a hero. And they're just coming at me for it. 3-4 days ago, when I went to drop off a gift for a childhood friend of mine, Nick Carrera, and I was walking down the street, and this car has been following me. I'm not kidding you. This car has been following me, and I've already caught it, I think, 3 separate occasions in random places. And it's a hearse. Like when people die and they put them in a casket and they put them in a hearse. It's an all-white hearse with a guy that looks a cross-breed between Michael Rossiter and Kenneth Cooper. He's a little short guy. And so what these people do is these homosexuals and transgenders, they play their character of who they think they are. And then they project themselves at me like it's a stage performance, like this is an acting role, so that it affects the individual as traumatic as it possibly can, and they can rearrange and make up a story that they want so that it benefits strictly their gay community. And this guy was driving down the fucking street, like he followed me, and he pulled from out of a street out of nowhere and drove by me, and he literally looks like Kenneth, and he's driving the fucking car. And one of the reasons that they play this psychological thing is so that it puts the imprint that who the warrior is, who can kill more, who can endure more, who was the one that dealt with the greatest of whatever it was that they're going to staple it with to get away with what they did. This one killed 75 people, this one killed 3 people, this one killed the president, Michael Jackson. Like, it's insane. When you have this number of people coming at you, they do really chaotic, in my opinion, dynamic shit. I mean, it's really fucking crazy shit. And they do, it has nothing, there's nothing good about this. There's nothing holy. This is not a warrior story. This is all selfish greed and evil. Kenneth Cooper is not a fucking hero, you fucking, it makes me want to just start cursing and saying all kinds of horrible shit, right? I got this crucifix around my neck. I don't want to be, saying anything like that, and I don't want to be dealing with that. And it's just to mentally train me, because there's no ceremony or burial rite for this little girl that died all these years ago. There's people that die all the time. There's people that are in tragedies, and this little girl died so many years ago, but because Michael Jackson and the President of the United States, Barack Obama, has run a full war riot against me, they're gonna make sure they're gonna use the public situation to their advantage, strictly to get away with what they want. This person could have molested fucking 24 fucking children and raped them all. Oh no, he's a good person. He's candid. Oh no, we're gonna. I mean, it's scary. It's scary, the mental state that our individual puts themselves in. That they jump into this like bodysuit of, oh, I'm going to represent Kenneth in front of Hector, and this is what Kenneth is going to be like, and it's fucking crazy. And they do this with Michael Rosser. Like, let me tell you, I'm in class, and the teacher begins to taunt me and say some information about me being resuscitated through CPR and almost dying. And this individual throws it to my face, and this is the teacher. And I don't say anything. I kind of get, but nobody knows the story. Nobody wants to believe anything I have to say anymore. When I say that I did not get resuscitated. I was not dead. This person tried pulling my pants down while I was on the fucking floor and was trying to victimize me. And now you got a whole riot of homosexuals and transgenders coming at me for it, to feel sorry for him. And this is what they do. And like, I'm in class, I'm a thyroid bone marrow transplant, I got raped by a transgender, they were shooting electronic devices. Nobody wants to believe anything. And they're still, to this very day, doing the same thing that they did to me when I was 25 years old, and even worse. Much more worse. And it's just an assembly line. When one homosexual soldier shows up, another one is ready to fight to the death. And I mean for the death for war. It's murder-suicide. I'm not joking. It's murder. I'm gonna fucking run down the fucking rabbit hole down to the fucking casket and shooting at fucking Hector. I don't give a goddamn fuck. This is for President Barack Obama and Michael Jackson, and for the faggot movement, for the gay movement. And it's really crazy, because me speaking polite, me speaking respective, and me, as much as it doesn't work, like it works to help me get through the day, and it helps me to get kind of, hopefully, get things to change, but it doesn't change the motivation, because it's all in the public eye. They know all the information. So then this little girl becomes more of a buffet. How are we going to use this dead little girl to help benefit the Cooper family? Since this one's already a nurse, this one's white. No, this one was white that helped the blacks. No, this one was because, let's help the blacks, pro-black for Barack Obama. I mean, you don't understand how intense and insane it is. Earlier today, I saw an old man, India guy. It looked like he was from India. He had blue eyes, right? Which is very rare, but this guy was like from India with like blue eyes. And I just looked at him. He was an old man just standing in the corner, and I was like, well, I have something to drink. It's hot outside. Let me give him the Capri Sun. Give him something to drink. I'm walking. Be something nice today. And I say, hey, here, let me give you something to drink. And I don't know. I don't think he was home. Maybe he was homeless. I don't think he was. Indian people are never homeless out here in the U.S. But as soon as I get done, and I'm in the hot sun, I'm outside, underneath the shade at the gas station or at the convenience store. It's like a little gas station just down the street from here. And I begin walking. All of a sudden, there's a black guy that shows up, and he tries to play straight attitude. Oh, I'm going to tell you what the fuck you're going to do. And I'm doing something nice to an old man. And do you know why? There's a few things that I thought of when I got off that bus, and immediately, because right when I got off, it's right in front of the convenience store. I had said that I think my biological father still may be alive. And if he were to be old, he'd be old like that guy. So this black motherfucker wants to show up and play black power on me, and does this intimidation shit. No, you don't give a goddamn fuck about my father. You don't give a shit about what this guy was crying about and his worthless dead daughter that you're dragging her ass around for, hip-hop station, and this black guy, it's not racist. Well, it does become racist. Because that's what everyone's doing, because they point the finger at Barack Obama. Oh, Barack Obama, Michelle, Barack, first black power, transit, and it's nonstop. They don't care to hear who the real monster is. They don't care to hear anything. If you're that skin color, you're the trope. Yeah, it's just, and they'll just keep doing it. Oh, you're transgender. Oh, transgender. Oh, you're gay too. Oh, and they just keep doing that. But I don't say anything. But I know that this is what this is about, and it makes me angry. And I'm doing something nice. I don't know who this Indian guy is. He's probably not a Christian. Okay, he's from India, and he's by himself. He's a nice old man. He looked like a very nice, gentle old man. But he was with his little cane. And as soon as I gave him this drink, he just looked at me. He didn't say one word. And he just kind of, and he goes, and he pointed toward the ground, my water, because I had I had like a little bit of water. I said, no, it's okay. That's for me. I just wanted to give you, something to drink. You have a wonderful day, sir. And I left. But it's, even when I'm in circumstances, you got to understand that the premeditated forms of what somebody else is doing is what the intention is to do negative. Now, I also have to be very careful because, I'm not trying to make up something into something just to cause, but that's the reason why the individuals and the psychologists do this, because it's a two-way, not a two-way street. It's a one-way street, and both, directions, and whether you go left or right, you're always going to pivot into that same problem. Well, maybe I'm just instigating this, and I'm going kind of just taking things too much. Oh no, but it's still affecting me because that's the topic. Because they don't. It takes the ability away to point the finger, but you still feel the guilt for it. That dead little girl doesn't affect you. Now, that dead little girl that died many years ago from Michael Jackson and did a stage performance for Kenneth Cooper and the Cooper family was severely abused. This is my sister. Even if I leave it up with the Lord, and I say, God, Jesus, just let me leave this up to this little, you take care. It doesn't matter, because if people they want to use equity, they want to use a credibility, and that's what it is for President Barack Obama. Because President Barack Obama, he's not the president anymore. He just deals with the garbage shit. And all that is a corpse that's being picked away by dynamic vultures. And when it's time to use that equity for emotion and exchange, then that's when they're going to use it. And they do a build-up in this process of it. When I don't want to be associated, or I don't want to be, when people know that is your biological sister, they know that that's a very likeliness of what your replication is could possibly be. Meaning, I could have children that are going to be retarded like that. That affects my nutsack. That affects my existence of physical material body, not you. It affects me. Oh, but no, it's just, all about love, transgender Barack Obama, this is Kenneth Cooper, you don't understand. So instead of me thinking about all these wonderful, beautiful things for school, I'm complaining about this crazy shit that's going on, because it shouldn't be happening. But it's a mental training about what's happening. Here's another thing. I go to CC's Pizza. CC's Pizza was where I saw my mother cry, and she couldn't approach her own child before the little child died. And she had pizza all over her mouth, and she was just like trying to feed herself. And the owner, Ivan's dad, was trying to feed the little girl pizza, and he was doing it in front of my mother. And they didn't make eye contact with us at all. Like, it wasn't a pleasant experience, because it had nothing to do with Ivan, but the dad, they didn't come say hello to us. My mother was just sitting there, and it was her daughter, and she wasn't allowed. And this is when I talk about that there was some white blonde-haired guy that charged at me when we were sitting from the table. And I was like, Mom, why are you crying? And I looked over at that little girl and said, that's Ivan's sister. Why are you? I thought maybe she was just having a sad moment because the little girl was sick. My sister, which I didn't know. So it becomes very personal. It's a different platform that you can go to, that I go to, that reminds me of how worthless little girl was to the profitable gain for someone else. And who didn't give a shit. 30 years down the fucking road, and everything that they ever did, they're going to make excuses for it. And now they're ready to throw this corpse at me, mutilated, for another profitable gain for the president now. And the president then cycles it to get all the fancy words, because that's an internal trash can. The president of the United States, that's an internal trash can that just throws dead bodies in the fucking furnace and will beat the fuck out of my ass and send another murder attempt to make sure it goes the way that he fucking wants. This is not about being good. This is not about being the morals and a human being. No, this is about just a dictatorship. This is about what they want to make to whatever that is with that. If they want to fucking give 10 people fucking cars for that fucking dead little girl that was being abused, my mother's daughter and my sister, then that's what they're going to do, because this is President Barack Obama. And black nigga, it was not black, okay, this is for whites, and whites were just angels. No, it's Cooper family time. Like, no, and I have to deal with this because I don't ever really want to deal with this. I don't like racism either. I don't want to be able to deal with this type of stuff. You know, I should be, you know, focus on other things. But another thing that I want to talk about is this whole medical field. As much as things are, I'm telling you, like I really do love the medical field. I mean, there is no doubt in my mind that I would love to pursue a career, a full, genuine career in this field. And I know that I could. There's just so many people that are they're passionate on how they want to fight for the gay community and transgender community, for dead Patricia Gadina, for Kenneth Cooper, and now it's for Sarah, and now it's all dictated right at me in negative ways. Like, they don't care what story, you know, they don't care who got beat the fuck out of. They're gonna fix it. There's no fixing of what was taken away from me, and nor do they give a shit. This is about who gets profitable gains, and they put their mascot on stage because guess who got raped? And guess who's Michael Jackson? Guess who's Michael Jackson for the gay? This one's gay too, and this one's gay too. Oh, it's just not about gay. No, it's just, and they start making the things up to the highest level of details that you could ever imagine. Everything from my family, a lot of the concepts of what everything I think of about why I don't want to get into the music field, why I don't do that anymore. They'll approach these psychological patterns when I don't want to deal with it. I don't like it. Like, no one listens to me, to anything I have to say. And when I say, you know, that before my transplant, during my transplant, that I was talking to nurses, and I was telling nurses, what do you do for the field? And I was telling them, I was like, you know, I'd like to do this, you know, I'd like to, because I was already wanting to do something else different. Like, there was something else, a different career I wanted to do, even before and during my transplant and moment of death, that they don't give a shit. And, you know, me, I understand that this is not like a form of punishment, but the President of the United States is exactly what he's doing. Oh, you just want to punish us because we raped you, and then we're going to make up a story. We didn't rape you with electron. Oh, we're just going to make up and they'll just start making up shit, making up stories, and I'm beaten to believe it. I'm beaten to fucking believe it. Like, if I don't, I get my ass fucking beat. I get fucked up. Like and you don't understand how detailed it is to even things that I'm not under control over. Like, there's two situations I want to talk about, for an example. Today, earlier, I'm in class, and I started to get very agitated because I don't know how the frequency devices are being shot at me. And then I start to sort of get very shaky because they're like playing games with me, with the electronic devices, where they can make you nervous or sort of shift the energies and like the frequencies and waves and patterns inside the fucking room, or besides just shooting me in my calves or kneecaps or whatever it may be. And the only reason that I got agitated was because I did everything, and I was doing I was doing the bed on a practice patient, right? These dummies, and I get done and I'm explaining things, and I'm looking at the teacher and I'm sort of explaining in front of the students, and all of a sudden I feel like somebody was jolting a thought or something at me, like a DJ, like I go like this, like yeah, I just want to make sure that I want to do this, and I felt like something jolted at me, like it wasn't my thought, and it was very suspicious because the teacher keeps saying just use your senses and doing this. So you know how you can sometimes kind of hear people's thoughts, or you can kind of pick up. Some people are really good at it. Well, it's a buildup of poison. Now, one of the methods that I understood while working at Child Protective Services is that when a child molester wants to get away with what they want to do with, is they put on a mask. And this is some of the stories that I've even heard. But they put like a hypothetical mask, you know, like the uncle that shows up and he's real jolly, shows up with the family. He's putting on a show. He's putting on a mask, and it's a demon mask. So, you know, so they sort of do this type of shit, right? And you know, and I kind of got upset because I felt like I couldn't tell, like, if somebody was doing something or there was a jolt of the electronic device, and I got irritated. And I was like, what the fuck is somebody doing something? You know, like, and I'm sitting there trying to pay attention. I don't have, and I, like, it aggravates me because I'm trying to, I have to then become defensive as opposed to, like, you know, I have to then become defensive. One second. See, there's fucking roaches that they're placing in this fucking room. There's no, for those that don't know what the story is they're placing roaches in the fucking room that I'm in, and inside the refrigerator I'm using that looks like a coffin. You can see that right there. And they'll place them in there, underneath there, and so they just keep crawling. And there's nothing then for them to feed off of. There shouldn't be any roaches at all, especially in this back room over here. But they just keep placing them on here on purpose. So, so it bothers me, you know. I try to think of the Lord, and I try to think, oh God, like in, you know, different methods, and it's very difficult because you know, it's such a mental condition. Okay, so this is not like a punishment, but this is how it gets treated. And when you're running a political power game, they know that it's going to affect too many people, and then they'll retaliate against it. And like, for those that don't know, I go downstairs, there's a guy that looks like President Barack Obama. So they'll use that skin color, hair color, physical frame as an attribute to then use as a psychological enforcement to what I visually actually see. So that it implies and embeds into the human brain that this is what's the interpretation is. So it's like a one-way street with 4 different lanes. You're still going, it's still traveling this sort of same direction, but which of the lane do you want to point it toward? It doesn't matter. That's exactly what it's going to lead to. And it's very upsetting because, you know, like I walk outside, and when I go in there, there's like they put a girl with black hair, midnight black hair, and with DJ headphones, Dr. Dre headphones. And so when they do this because remember my dead sister? Remember Cisco's sister that was in the car with Patricia Gadina? So it then applies this sort of substance to the environment. She could have been Asian. They could have put some, and it's not, they're not working there just because it's accident. No, it's for that very reason. And then as soon as I'm leaving, after I get a few things from the pantry food, the Barack Obama lookalike says, he goes, yeah, and he goes like that. So it's all correlated in this whole. You're gonna do this as a DJ career. So even when I'm going to class, then it becomes very toxic. Instead of me being passionate about the situation, it becomes disoriented where I can't, you know, where I'm like, if I don't feel that I'm supposed to DJ and get this, go along with this DJ career, then I'm gonna be punished. And I'm gonna, you don't understand it. This is like a government assassination type of mentality that I believe in government conspiracy. Like they will kill you if you don't do what they tell you to do, or you're a problem. And not talking about terrorists or killing people with guns and shit. I'm talking about like if there's some political notion, like they've done with the Black Panthers, they've done with a lot of political rivals throughout human existence. They will get rid of your life, and they're not going to tell you. They will give you that understanding that you know what that death threat means. That if you don't go down the path of what you know you're expected to do, then you're going to lose your life. And you'll see how real that fucking is, and how worthless your fucking life is, and how worthless of emotions you think it's going to fucking affect them. That I'll show you. They don't care. There is dead bodies in a trash can. I don't give a damn. And they'll distribute that understanding by even using my sister as a hypothetical situation, or driving the hearse near me. And it's just a continuous cycle that people don't even know about. But I try to stay positive, and I can't explain that. I mean, I don't know how to further elaborate on that type of fear of like, because it really disorients the situation of like, at 42 years old, and all this attention that's going on, they're doing it also because they've already poisoned the situation. Oh, they know it's going to clean up Kenneth. They know it's going to clean up the Cooper family. It's going to clean up my mother. It's going to clean up the other kids that she had. They don't give it. Me personally, to say as a human being that I deserve the rights to go to school and not be affected by this type of poison shit that they're doing, doesn't exist. Very little does it really exist. So everyone has good days and bad days, and I try not to go to that mental route. I try to stay like, it took me the last few hours. It was frustrating because I, to try to stay positive, because I couldn't tell if somebody was shooting something or somebody was trying to train me, like affect me, like. And the way, what's so weird about it? The way that I interpreted it is, many years ago, this is a true story. Before I was molested, the guy that had molested me and my brother, and raped my brother horrifically in an orgy, and I was also affected in that orgy as well, in Mexico, by two relatives. My brother got the worst of it. It was horrific. It was something out of the worst horror movies that you can imagine. I mean, it was, and he raped me again when I was a little kid, and my father was actually inside the room, and he went over to me and he said, he was sitting on the couch, and he told me and he started training me, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I was like 6 years old. And I went over to my dad's room, and then this is when, like, at some point this guy got kicked out of the house. And I've talked about this story. I've made a full video on this. But I remember as a kid, before he cut off the rabbit's head from my pet rabbit, and I got sort of mad, and I picked up this rabbit's head, and I was about 6 years old, and I picked it up in front of him, like look what you did. Like, you think you're going to scare me, and I don't know why. It was really crazy for a little kid to do that. See a little 6-year-old kid see his pet rabbit literally be head cut off in real life, pick it up with his hands and put it right to his face. But I remember before he did that, I recall he was like near my mother's door, like at the kitchen, and he jolted something at my, like, I don't know what the fuck it was, and I was like what the fuck? And I remember just like kind of shaking, like like it was nasty. And I kind of felt like that whenever I was in class today, and I was like, is somebody shooting something at me or something nasty? Like really, this I don't know what the fuck it was. And I try to brush it off, and then I'm like, I have to then stay sort of defensive, but not defensive, but like just be as passive as I can, because I'm here for school. I'm here to education. I was a little tired. I was, kind of offbeat a little bit, not necessarily paying in so much of the details that I should have. Because I was also thinking about my mother, and did somebody hit my mother? What does this interpret? And my mother giving me shit, and her twin, and you don't understand it. People don't. You have to have somebody that actually listens to anything you have to say. If any of it's going to matter, nobody's listening. My mother's twin that I'm associating with, that's not your daughter. You were never there for any of it. And you want to take ownership, and so then they start playing this disgusting psychological game with her because she looks like my mother, and they can start poisoning this situation as much as they can to benefit President Barack Obama and the transgender movement and for the black movement. And and then they start doing. It goes into very deep details. Nobody understands how detailed and how accurate these individuals, that whoever's recording me, whoever has this all documented, has this on a computer system, and they're like this, like a fucking thousands of them, like sitting in front of a computer, like, we're going to go after Hector, we're going to make sure we get this information, we'll type it up right. Like, it's very detailed. And so it nobody should have to go through this. It's very sad. As far as I know this. I'm not trying to rabbit trail a conversation, but my sister, Michaela Leeser, looks a lot like my deceased sister. Like her head, her sort of cranium, she looks a lot kind of like my sister, like my transgender sister, like my sister that was very sick because nobody did anything about the abuse, and there hasn't been a proper burial, and it's just equity. It's like the black guy that lives right over here, he shitted on it. Like, let me tell you something, it's so crazy, the psychological things. Like, he ran into the bathroom, so he plays himself like Kenneth because he's trying to clean up Kenneth and the dead bodies and make sure his equity for the headphones and the DJ career for Michael Rossiter. And I don't want to go a negative route, but this is what he's doing in purpose to benefit him. This is a race war, and he runs into the bathroom when I'm taking a piss. Now what that does is that every time I go to the user restroom, a restroom is a resource place and a necessity of the very basic needs. And so what he does is he uses that as a metaphor as to mentally incarcerate me and to purge the horrors and the truth of what had happened by running in there and then closing the door and then leaving. And let me tell you, there's cameras in here that beat the shit out of me with electronic devices that make me pee whenever they want. And then I literally take him piss, and I say, hey, what are you doing? And then he sort of jolts out, and he behaves like Kenneth, like the body language. He studies Kenneth. So it's a very prison mentality. The mentality is penitentiary. You know the guy in a penitentiary that smears shit all over the fucking walls in real life, and I mean for real life, like the crazy motherfuckers that are in prison. That mentality of a guy that grabs his feces out of the fucking toilet and he smears it, or he throws it at the police officers. That's who that guy is. That's that motherfucker over there. That's the mentality of the prison type of mentality. It's fucking rotten, fucking, this is for President Barack Obama, disgusting ass shit. To the understanding individual. Until for those that, lucky for me, I'm able to understand at least a pretty good chunk of this. and it's to decimate the beauty of this flowering little girl for a profitable gain. The essence of God, soul, brother connection, the human experience, it becomes a cash register. And it's very nasty. It's to decimate that, and it works, and it does. It's a very disgusting thing. It's a very nasty, because you can't fix that. You can't replace that. When you do that type of shit, you can't fix it. It's, you can't. And so, the psychologist allowed him to do this. I mean, so it's, for me, it's like, I'm like, Lord Jesus, please help me. God, please help me to become a better person. Help me not, sometimes I say a lot of things I don't want to say at times, and it's so difficult because I have to become defensive, and it's a race war, and then I do have to be defensive because you want, Lord, help me just get through this day. Just help me, allow me. And it becomes so bearing because when you start to feel the sense of like, man, this is like a conspiracy of the government. They're going to kill me. Like, if I don't do this DJ shit and start agreeing to it, they're going to fucking kill me. And they'll start playing these psychological shit, and you don't understand how, like, you find life very worthy, others find it nothing more than trash in a trash can. Like, it's so easy, so comfortable to dispose. And they'll start sending, at times, suicides at me. Maybe it's a guy without a nose to make a statement. Maybe, or this guy, I saw a year ago that was, bedridden, and I had to be very careful because not only it wasn't professional, but I had to be very careful because they'll run their suicide mission because there's this sort of, and I read this in this book, and I've heard about people doing this. They'll run a murder suicide on you whenever they're dying. And they know that the president Michael Jackson is involved. They sort of associate God with that, and then they'll go into this hallucinating sort of voyage of shit of sacrifice. The same way that people that are healthy, I'm doing this for Jesus. I'm doing this for Jesus. Oh, I know I'm doing this for Jesus Christ. Right? No, you're not. But I have to let the Lord, because I can't do it any other way. I can't. Maybe other people are effective, but for me, I can't. I have to have the Lord and Jesus, because you just can't, because you have so many people, and you're trying to keep a steady mind and healthy mind, and you can't. You simply cannot, because the projection of what people want to do is coming from so many people and so intense and so disfiguring that it starts to affect you too traumatically. And they know because it's not just that they do this on an individual basis. They do this as a team effort. Then it becomes as a team effort. Like, okay, you do this right here, and then you do this for Kenneth, and then we'll back it up with Sarah Cooper, and then we'll back it up with Mike becoming a team, and then Michael Jackson, and so it's a non-stop cycle. So anyway, hopefully this isn't a jaded, too much of a jaded conversation video. I got to get to bed, and but this is a wonderful career. It is a wonderful career. I don't know if I'm still to this day, even if I pass this class, I don't know if I'll be allowed to, let alone finish this class. But it's definitely a career 1,000% I would love to pursue. It's a career I want to pursue. It is, and being in the right circumstances and healthy environment is a necessity. And when you're shooting somebody with electronic devices, I'm telling you, 1 in a trillion it's ever going to happen. And you start to doubt because, and it's a tug of war, and I know that I would never be really in that mental state. had it not, for this and that, because, they'll bring up topics about Marco, they'll bring up Target, which I think they're talking about my mother, and then I try to brush it off, and I know they're talking about this right here. And so, and then they're, oh, did you get raped with that CPR? And it's, I don't want to, so I just try to keep it casual. It's nothing but a smirk and smile. I'm telling you, there's no way a normal person could deal with this. Like, no way. So I try to stay positive because, if the psychologist is doing this with my mother, and my mother's twin, with my mother's twins, her sisters, yeah, there's no hope. What is it to someone else that doesn't know who the fuck I am? Like, before I'm gonna finish the story. I was at CC's yesterday, a couple days ago, or this weekend with my mother, and they were shooting. It felt like somebody was shooting an electronic device, and I was just pacing back and forth. And I literally walked like 4 or 5 steps, and I turned around, walked 4 or 5 steps, and then I did just this and this, and I was like, "What the fuck? Somebody's shooting or doing something." Anyway, 15 minutes go by, eating at a table, and somebody starts yelling at, like, once they start screaming and yelling at my face, because I put one of the plates on the table I was eating with my mother sort of rough, and I wasn't in good company with my mother, and this person started to scream at me, "Do you want this, or will you want this?" And this is where I saw my dead sister. This is the little girl that was dead. This is a transgender that's doing it. And I then begin shot with electronic devices, and I had to stay submissive. So this person starts yelling at me in the place where I saw this dead little girl who was thrown away many years ago. And this transgender now wants to play angel police officer at CC's Pizza over the dead little girl, because this is what this is about. Otherwise, we wouldn't be going to CC's Pizza. We'd be going to Mr. Gaddy's or some other fucking fancy all the time. We wouldn't be going to this fucking place. And this is what this transgender does. And in a normal environment, I would have felt like you start screaming at this. You want to fucking throw down, you fucking worthless transgender dick in ass motherfucker. I'll fuck you up. Start saying all kinds of fucking evil, dark ass shit. Like ready to go to the penitentiary for this shit. Like angry. Because I don't know who this person is. But let me tell you how the threat happens. When this person starts yelling at me at CC's Pizza, there's police officers parked outside. When we're driving there with my mother, they're parked outside, just parked there. But when I'm inside the fucking CC's Pizza, this transit, and it's because my dad's sister experienced restaurant. And it's really fucked up. I don't say anything, and I'm talking to my mom for another 5 minutes. All of a sudden, I lose my train of thought, and I can't. And I do this. I'm like, what was I talking about? What's going on? And they shoot an electronic device at me. And there's like a crowd of people that are sitting at a fucking dinner table, like 15 of them, and majority of them are white. And it's like having a dinner buffet with a dead little girl. And then they all together are against me. Like, remember, CC's is the one restaurant I saw this little dead girl who was being slapped around, being hit, pizza all over her fucking mouth. She was laying on the fucking floor. She didn't get a proper burial. We didn't have a picture in our house. But it's time for Michael Jackson credit and transgender credit, because the transgender was fucking hitting this little... But you don't want to track down that worthless bitch that was sitting at fucking CC's Pizza. Don't ask me to go to CC's Pizza again until you track down that worthless piece of shit. Your problem. Now, if I would have started saying, because I said that, now they'll start training me and beat my ass to go there. I'm telling you, like, it's so fucked up. So everything that I say negative, anything that's not wanting of what President Barack Obama wants to train me at, I suffer the consequences. Like, it's a nasty cycle of, this is what we're gonna do, this is what we're gonna do, then attack here, and it never stops. And then I have to, for the lack of better words, it's just like, throwing away the little girl, for the profitable gain, because there's nothing you can do. The president's ordering the shit, and he's gonna keep making excuses, and there's no way to propel forward and think positive because of that shit. And it's a sacrifice. It's literally like a sack of ribs, like, and fucking vultures just picking at her fucking eyes and ribs and ripping off a piece of meat and just doing this in front. Oh, but I'm just an angel. I was an angel and I was good, holy angel. But then I have a better life than you because I made better choices. And it's fucking garbage shit. There's no delicacy, sensitivity, moral belief, nothing. This is who gets the proper dividing share of this sacrifice that they did for Michael Jackson, for the music career of Kenneth Cooper, and the transgender experience for Patricia Gadina. Like, they don't give a fuck in any morally way. Not one person have I ever came across is like, damn, this person is really fucked up. This person should not only have done this to a cancer patient, you shouldn't have done this to this person. You don't have any right. And nobody wants to listen to the fact that I'm saying that when I was talking to Patricia Gadina and I was in class and we're walking down the hall, nobody wants to believe me. Patricia Gadina was mad at Ginger. So Patricia Gadina's transgender that raped me, that had a sex change, is no longer alive, was upset, and gay community felt like they owned me, that they owned me already, that they could do this to me, and this is how this person was behaving, and did not like Ginger. Oh, whatever Ginger, if she had kids I didn't know about, whatever it is, that's still none of your fucking business. That's a real fucking female. I'm not interested in having sex with transgenders or to have a transgender movement, but that's exactly what happened, and it's continued ever since then. That has nothing been more than a curse, that more than I could ever express in my entire existence of life, to have something like that happen. And it was just cursed. You're gonna do what we as a human being. Like, if transgenders don't want their own piece of respect and place of identity, no, I don't even get any. And you're talking 14 fucking years since the day that's happened. I'm 42, I was 28 when that happened. This is 14 years later, and it's just a merry-go-round about entertainment with that. But anyway, I gotta get to sleep. I have to think of the Lord, Jesus, and it's scary. I do not, it's scary, because you're not gonna change their minds. This is a war. It's like a war zone, and I try to just stay positive, think of the Lord, think positive, thank God, and get scared, because you don't ever want to mess with any of that. You're the president and the White House, and you don't understand how worthless your life is to those types of people. Your life, God is not going to come on a chariot and save you from a dynamic presence of Barack Obama and then the transgender movement that he's unleashed. None of that shit happens. Like, it's not going to happen. I believe in faith in God, and justice will be not done in this lifetime. But it's not something you want to mess with, because when they make the threat and you understand what that is, they don't tell you. You'll figure that on your own, that you better do as they say, otherwise you know. And let me tell you, I know what it is to be on that deathbed. When you start crying and you start thinking of your life, they use very cynical, dark psychology, then apply that mental state to me. No, this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to do. But this isn't like a form of punishment. They're making it out like, and there's your music career. It's all yours. I don't want it. That belongs to them. And it always did. And God sometimes calls us to do better purposes in life. I believe that. It may not be the funnest career, but I think God wants us to do holy Jesus work. change their perceptions because it said that, tell me Jesus' holy work is that, and it's not. But, you know, it's scary. I don't like to really think about that, but I have to, because they put that understanding, and you know what that means. You know what that means when, you know, like assassination, or don't do something, you know, poison in a fucking bottle, you know, cancer development, some secret agent shit, you know, and a drink and shit, you develop, you know, tumors and shit, you know, all over it. Oh, it's just because you were smoking. No, it's because, you know, you didn't do what we told. Oh, it's because we had a sacrifice. Oh, it's just you'll never figure it out, and you won't. You just so die for it, you know. And it's so bad because it should be in the way that, you know, a lot of us think of life. You go to school, get these careers, these fulfilling dreams and purposes in life, and you go through life. And for me, being a cancer patient, I've been through a lot of shit. You know, nearly digging in trash cans. So people were just kicking, spitting, being beat up. No money. Nobody would hire me. You know, it was just your brain would no longer function with that type of abuse, because when you're homeless like that, that's all you understand. You do not understand anything else. You just understand survive food, shelter. You really, and hoping that there is an existence of God, and have faith in that, and that's it. There is no these beautiful sunshine flowers and all this other shit that you don't get, because your body's being beaten so bad in your mind, it's impossible to stay healthy. And then people were just doing this, and nobody wants to believe me. Oh, it's just, you know, and they'll drain your fucking life. You know, I'm 42 years old. You know, they were doing this shit to me when I was 25 years old. You know, peeling out in front of my fucking house when I was living with Christy. You know, all these different residents I was staying at, and nobody wants to believe what this is crazy shit they were doing. You know, and following me because they thought I was gonna have sex with this woman, and trying to be involved, you know, and she's a beautiful woman, you know, Christy, you know, she was older than me, you know, and nobody wants to believe the situation. I mean, it was so awful and toxic. Anyway, I pray to God that this goes as smoothly as possible, and I'll be able to jump into another class. I don't think in this life, nothing will make me cry more if I were to earn an LVN. Like if I were to earn to be a nurse, when it comes to just career choices, nothing. Yeah, I mean, you know, if I were to able to accomplish something like that in my life, you know, something like that. I mean, that you know, such an accomplishment. There's still other careers, you know, radiology, X-ray technician, stuff like that. So there's other pretty interesting stuff, but we'll see there where it takes me. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. You know, start little, medical assistant, maybe patient care technician, and but one of the beautiful things that I am learning also, this about my sister who passed away, is I start to learn the caretaking that was possibly done and not done while she lived next door, and the compassion that you're supposed to feel toward another human being, and regardless of what they did. You don't need to know their past, is to which I've always understood, but understanding the job position, you know, because there's people that do this for a living that don't ever get paid, and so yeah, that's a very it's a very bright thought of being able to see that and experience that, because I think of, you know, the compassion needs of being alive and being grateful for what you have, and some people can't. You know, there's some really beautiful people out there that are bedridden. There were good people. There were good people through their life, and because bad things happen to good people. And a lot of these people were very good people. Some of them were. Some were monsters, but, you know, some were really good people, but you never really think about it. Some of them were just really good people you would have probably wanted to be friends with. or have a family member like that, and they can't do nothing for themselves, and it's just, give them, a partial bed bath, make them feel like life is still worthy and they're still important. Nobody else could take care of them, that their value, to give them value for life, and their lives have already moved on. Many of them kids and stuff like that. So it's something I get a grip with also with when I think about my sister, and Ivan taking care of her, who was giving her baths if they weren't giving her baths. My mother never gave her a bath, her own daughter. My mother was never fixing her hair. I used to watch her hair get braided. I'd seen that her hair get braided multiple times, and she'd be sort of entertained, and she would braid her hair. And the transgender lady, Lupe, who would take care of her, she'd sit on the couch, and I'd see her. It was like sort of an entertaining thing. Like, she seemed pretty entertained and very pleasant, where, she would be getting her hair and kind of, fixing her. What girls do, they kind of fix up their hair, get braided, or, put little, whatever the girls do with their hair, right? The clips or whatever. And my mother never did any of those things. What I saw, and it makes me angry, because I would have liked to make this as beautiful as it could, and keep that way and move forward, as opposed to, let's just see how this is going to help Sarah, and this is Kino Nice on the beat, Michael Jackson could come through, and that's really what it was about. But so it's not good to go down the negative route in the sad part. I don't even know it is sad, but I'm telling you, for me, it's just, I can't do it without believing in the Lord, that there is a higher power in charge, guidance, and just do what I can do. Do what I can do. Do what I can do. The Lord will help me. I shall not want. He will give me rest when I need rest. He's not gonna, He is the Almighty of all, Master of all things. So I gotta get to bed. Have a good night.